Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're digging into some of history's most famous breakthroughs. But it turns out the stories we all learned in school might be missing some pretty important people.
Yeah, the history we got in our textbooks left out some absolutely crucial characters. So the big question is, why? Why were we taught one version of the story when the reality was something else entirely? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out.
All right, let's start with some inventions you probably know and maybe even use. But their origin stories? They're probably not what you think. These are tales of brilliant ideas and of stolen credit.
Okay, let's kick things off with a classic game night favorite, Monopoly. Now, if you think Charles Darrow invented it, you're not alone, but that's not right. The real inventor was an amazing woman named Lizzie Magie.
So get this. Lizzie Magie created her game, which she called the Landlord's Game, way back in 1904. Charles Darrow, the guy who gets all the credit, he basically just took her concept, sold it to Parker Brothers, and went on to make millions. And Lizzie's name? It was pretty much completely wiped from the story.
Now, this next one is even more serious. The first effective treatment for leprosy. History books will tell you it was Arthur Dean, but again, that is not the full story. The real credit belongs to Alice Ball.
This story, wow. It really shows you just how deep the injustice went. Alice Ball developed a groundbreaking treatment that was actually known as the Ball Method, but tragically, she died before she could officially publish her findings. So her colleague, Arthur Dean, he just seized the opportunity, took all her research, put his own name on it, and was celebrated as a national hero for her work.
And look, this isn't just about board games or even one-off medical treatments. This pattern, it goes way deeper, to the very foundations of modern science.
All right, now for what might be the most shocking example of all, the theory of relativity. That's synonymous with one name, right? Albert Einstein. But what if he wasn't the sole author? What if a brilliant woman named Mileva Maric was just as crucial to its creation?
You see, Mileva Maric was Einstein's first wife, and she was a brilliant physicist in her own right. A ton of evidence now suggests that she was a key collaborator on his world-changing theories. And yet, the version of history we all grew up with only had one name, Albert Einstein. Mileva was simply erased.
100 years. Just think about that. For more than a century, this next story was told completely wrong, and a true pioneer's contributions were totally overlooked.
We've all heard that Charles Babbage is the father of the computer. And you know what? His ideas were brilliant, but his machine was just that, a concept, until Ada Lovelace, the world's first computer programmer, came along and brought it to life.
Think of it this way. Babbage designed the hardware, the theoretical engine, but it was Ada Lovelace who saw its true potential. She wrote the very first algorithm ever meant to be processed by a machine. Her work is the literal foundation for all modern software. And it still took over a century for her to get the recognition she deserved.
So we have a stolen board game, a stolen medical cure, and hidden contributions to both physics and computing. This is not a coincidence. This pattern actually has a name.
I mean, this isn't just one or two isolated incidents, right? It's a clear historical pattern of erasure. So what do scientists and historians call this phenomenon?
It's called the Matilda effect, and is the formal term for a systemic bias where the achievements of women scientists are ignored, denied, or, just like we've been seeing, attributed to their male colleagues.
And this brings us right back to our original question. It is just unbelievable, isn't it? The women who laid the groundwork for so much of our modern world don't even have their names mentioned in our kids' school books.
So, knowing this changes how we see the past, for sure. But more importantly, it makes you ask, how should we teach the future?
So what's the takeaway here? It's actually pretty simple. Knowing this history isn't enough. It is time to change the story we tell. It's time to put these names back into our textbooks and change the curriculum so that every child learns the full, true story of how our world was really built.